One in my head. Hello, hello. Hey, Shanna. Hello, Danny. Hi, Blossom. It is good to see you guys. I hope you are doing well. It actually felt like spring today. It was like 50 degrees here, which was fantastic. Lennox would like you to say hi, and also he is very put out that we were talking about cats. Could you scooch, sir? Thank you. Cats that aren't him tonight, sort of. But anyway, I had quite a good week thus far. Hopefully, you guys had a good week as well. And hopefully, spring is here to stay. So I thought we could play around with a new challenge I learned about last weekend at my crop that Danny's actually been involved with for a really long time. But of course, like I had heard about it and not really paid attention because I'm good at that. But it is run by Newton's Nook, thus the products on my desk. And it is actually a color challenge this month. And it similar to sort of Kendra's card challenges and other sort of things like that. It's a monthly challenge and it just kicks off at the first Monday of the month and then runs until the first Monday of the next month. But this one is all about spring colors. And we have kind of a nice purple, allegedly dusty purple, which in the picture, actually on my monitor, the flowers on the picture look more, and Lennox is back because of course he is. We'll see if we can convince him to not be back. Sir. Whoops. Let's move the camera. We'll put him on my lap and see if he decides to chill. He might not. Both my cats have been super duper spring energy because it is spring, but they've been quite perky. Anyway, so we have basically a muted purple, we have a sunshine yellow, we have sort of a cocoa to ecru, kind of a light brown, and then we have a spring green essentially. Feel free to explain things, Danny, if I am missing anything, obviously. I guess let's see. Oh, ECR is here. Hello, Elizabeth. Lennox says hi. Clearly. Could you not be on top of all the products right now, sir? Sir. I don't know why he's being very friendly today. Like, we were literally like upstairs for an hour and he was not this friendly. But usually he just simmers down. Anyway. Oh yeah, the die is funny. Okay, so the story behind this die and the reason I had to buy it is this was a template I used for my swap card last year, except this one's fancier because it puts in all the stitch details, obviously. Um, but there, one of the previous Kendra's card challenges has a very similar sketch. I believe this is slightly smaller than an A2. I mean, like if you put this frame on an A2, you'd have a border. So thus I pulled some white. And I thought it would be fun because normally I do this in this orientation, but I thought it would be fun to twist it because then we could have our little cat with his little kite. And I'm not sure how much of the cat will fit on here, so we will see. But I'm pretty sure. Let me actually open up this die like a professional, and we'll figure out. We can kind of figure out what parts of Newton we would need to color versus not. But how are you guys doing? Have you hopefully oh, this is not annoying. Oh, look at this. Okay. Some nice glue dots as opposed to like that double-sided tape from hell, and it doesn't stick on the dies, which is fabulous. Anyway, I think I'm going to I think we kind of have to color the whole thing, and then we'll just sort of when we flip it, we'll just sort of die cut the parts we want. We can I guess we would I kind of want the kite, and I don't know that I care about his feet as much. So I'm thinking kind of like this. But anyway, I found this paper. It's not too shabby from their The Girl Going Outside series. I forget what it's called, but it's a newer one because it's unglued paper. I think they started that about 6 months ago. Anyway, so I think this will make a really nice background. And then we can bring in some yellow. I think we'll do the cat in yellow mostly. And I think he can have a dusty purple kite. And then I have a bunch of other stuff. But I think I probably should stamp in color because that's probably what will take us the most time. And speaking of coloring, I'm going to try a new coloring medium. These are the Altenew Woodless colored pencils. I got to play with them in a crop. And they're kind of like the Color. They're very hard. So you can really apply a lot of pressure. Allegedly, these are watercolored pencils, which I didn't realize at the time. I've been using them. When I was using them not in that capacity. Anyway, so let's get rolling because I have no idea how long that this will take. We will redirect over to Shanna's, of course, as per usual. At the end of the hour, Shanna is actually working with some stuff that I thought I kind of, when I was setting up the redirect, I kind of sneak peeked at what the products were, and it's a whole like field notebook series from Spellbinders, which looks kind of neat. Just because I love the vibe of field journaling. And since it's funny, I washed the sticky mat off, not with anything, but just with water. And it is like 10 times stickier than it was before I did that. Hello, Jenny. Hello, Anna. And Miss Ann Merritt. It is good to see you. And we can probably think about what we want to do. I do have some scrap yellow I think we can use to like mount our sentiment on. Ooh, these are not. So I'm going to put our little kitty cat higher, and then I'm just going to put the sentiment at the bottom because I'm probably going to. I think I'm just going to use the Soar and Buy because I think that's a good generic one, and I'll just put it down at the bottom here somewhere, and we can. Well, let me move it in a little bit. Then we can decide what we want to do with it, if anything. I kind of like the idea of sort of breaking this, wherever it is, breaking the grid up a little bit. Right? Like to put like a sentiment like here or something so that it kind of breaks up the squares. And here we go. It's funny. So here's a somewhat funny story that's probably not as funny as I think it is. But I spent literally half an hour looking for the top to my stamp wheel, and it was literally just underneath the stamp wheel. I think I will continue using the Be Creative ink, although it really doesn't matter if we're doing colored pencils. Let me just see what I'm missing. Oh, hey, Annie, how are you? Good to see you as well. I hope you are well. I hope you had a nice Palm Sunday, if that's a thing that your church does. I know it's was a big deal for my aunt and many others today. Oh, cool. ECR goodies. Oh, very cool. Which tell us which ECR goodies you're playing with. Now I'm curious. Well, it's funny because someone was like, "Dang, that mat's really sticky after a year," and I was kind of like, "Well, it wasn't sticky until I restuck it for in preparation to come and sort of demo to you guys. I don't know. I'm thinking I might do. There was a lot of buzz about people not being familiar with ATCs. I might do ATCs as my demo next year. Plus, Seth Apter has some really neat ATC stencils. His stencils generally look pretty cool. Newton's Nook also does stencils, although I'm not using any tonight. That looks like it's stamped fantastically, which is nice. And Danny, who's in the chat, probably knows more about Newton's Nook things than I do, because I am pretty new. The looks like the Be Creative does kind of stain your stamps a little bit, FYI, because it is a solvent-based ink. But as you all know, like, I am not a person to be worried about if my tools look gunky, because like ultimately they're tools and they're going to get gunky, and we care more about the final product. But I do like this little guy with his kite. So now we figure out if I can find a pokey tool. Here we go. We'll just lift that up. And I don't think we have to stamp anything else, which means that we're doing really well on time. Because I think we're gonna wind up kind of having this come together pretty quickly, because really all we need to do is die cut this. And when I was playing with these, the person I borrowed them from basically said that she would have recommended this packaging. The one that comes in trays. Do I have my other colored pencils near me? No. It comes in those plastic trays that are kind of a nightmare to deal with. I'm going to pull a yellow because we definitely want that. There's also more of a True Sunshine. Oh, and and I definitely want purple. And I want kind of a light pink for the kitty ears. And then I'm going to grab this second yellow because I feel like the yellow cats that we kind of have. I mean, the cats that are yellow are more, orange cats that are more yellow adjacent, in the same way that there are orange cats that are more brown. Ooh, napkins. Oh, very cool. Are you going to do like a collage or something? I think ECR did something else with napkins. I think you can use embossing powder on them in some fancy way. And we definitely want to give the kitties pink ears and a pink and a pink nose. Oh my! There we go. And they do lay down really smoothly. I was kind of surprised. I'm thinking we'll use the lighter yellow on his chest, and then do kind of his paws. Oh, let's give him a pink nose, because really, shouldn't every cat have a pink nose? There we go. And their stamp style, as you probably can tell, is very sketchy, which I think will be really good for this. So I want to let's see. So he kind of has, let's give him a yellower belly and a darker everything else, and then see how we like it. I'm just going to come in with this yellow, which is a lighter yellow. Oh, you can't. I am on camera. Well, that's convenient. Give him like a yellow belly like that. Well, I guess it's not really a belly, Because Kaiser kind of fur works this way too, where he's sort of more like of how like the coon cats have sort of that like I don't know, fuzzy chest thingy. Is that a word? Yeah, well, I know our friend Pam likes yellow, and many other people do as well. Then we're going to come in and do this. This yellow is a little more orange, as you can probably tell, but I think it'll give us a nice contrast. Because, like with orange cats, they do kind of have some variation in them, which is one of the things I like about them, even though neither of my cats are orange. But luckily, this is going down a little lighter, and I think it's going to look, once this is purple, the kite is purple, I think this is going to look a lot more yellow. And then we can make a decision on if we want to bring in any ink. And kind of like Craft Roulette, the way this challenge submission works is you just have to upload a picture to their website. So it's really quite straightforward. Oh, his face is so cute, yellow. Even though this is probably not quite sunshine yellow, but his chest is sunshine yellow. I think from a cat perspective, he's yellow enough. Let's go back in with the yellower yellow, and yeah, let's make him a little more vibrant, I think. Yeah, now his chest is definitely yellow. I kind of like that look. And then he's sort of muted yellow in the rest of him. But as you can see, it looks streakier on camera than in real life. But these theoretically are watercolor, so you can blend them out a little bit. And the more color you lay down, I think also the more I'm just coming in with some lighter yellow to just sort of layer over the darker yellow we put down, just to sort of make it look like he's all the same color. Oh, and we should probably color his other paw. There we go. So we layer the lighter yellow on top of the darker yellow we put down. It definitely makes him look more like a yellow cat, which Google says they exist. I have never in person seen one, but there we go. We can come back in. Just sort of give him a little more of a yellow paw. There we go. I think that looks cute. And then we just have to color our kite. Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. I just noticed that. Yeah. Yes, we wouldn't want a one-armed kitty. That would be a little sad. Let's just come in and... This isn't quite a dusty purple. And the reference image was almost more blue. But I think if I do this lightly, it'll work. This is kind of a... I can show you here. Like if you put this down at full strength, it's like a royal purple. So this is like a very purpley purple. Hopefully Delise isn't here. It's her least favorite color. Sorry. There you go. You can kind of see how that looks. But like I think the purple, in contrast to the purple, the kitty is going to look very yellow, because purple and yellow are complementary colors. And the ink is not smearing, which is nice. And I'm just going to go lightly over the kite to just sort of give it that more dusty, lighter purple kind of vibe. We could potentially also go over this a little bit with a lavender. I'm just going to just sort of putting a little more emphasis on the edges, because I feel like the kites always sort of have a superstructure there, so that it would do that. Yeah, I think that looks good. And I think once we effectively mat it out, so we're going to basically have to... Well, I want to cut off the... but Now we can have our whole cat. Now it's going to cut so it's gonna the cut line is it's gonna emboss and cut that first bit, but this is the actual. Sorry, this is the actual cut line here. So we will get some embossed kitty as well. So the cut line, it falls more towards the inside than what we're looking at. But I think I like the look of kind of like this. We definitely want our whole kitty head, but I don't think I need the entire. I think I'd rather have the whole kitty and lose some of the kite, because I think with like a partial kite, you can still tell what it is. We could also move it like that. I think that's pretty good, because we're not gonna. That way we won't lose his tail or anything. But before I do that, let me see if I can remember where I put my scissors that are good at cutting things. Or if not, I will have to run and grab the other ones. I guess I will have to run and grab the other ones quick. I will be back in un momento. Actually, I can just use my trimmer. Never mind. But I just want to cut off the soaring by, because I don't want to accidentally mangle that in the die cut machine. So I'm just going to. There we go. Then while we're here, we can sort of mirror that cut. There we go. That worked out pretty well. And then we can I think we can just finish this off while we are here. There we go. And then we just want to trim off a little bit of the side. I'm holding this pretty carefully, because if you cut towards you, it's really easy for these to move around. Anyway, so thing one is done. Now we can move on to thing two, which is basically what we want to do is. Now we can't have more Newton and less kite. Now that's kind of a cute look. Now I could just move it over a little bit so that we still have the tail of the kite. I think that's kind of what I want to do. And then this is definitely a situation where I want to tape this, because I would prefer if it didn't get mangled in the die cut machine. So I'm just going to grab some whoops, and it's unfortunate when that happens. But we can just put him down, and that way we can like keep a little more of his kitty toes. And I do die cut on a magnetic mat, but it's not with something like this. I always like to just give it a little extra tape insurance. Yeah, because that was again a little crooked. So I think that's about what we want. I don't think we will lose a kitty toe, but here's hoping. Hey, Shanna. Hi, Glow. How are you? I hope you are well. This is the only piece of this that's a little fussy. Basically, the die cutting the rest of these pieces out is going to be quite easy, but this one is not less so. And normally I'm better about pre-die cutting, but I figured you guys would want to see sort of the coloring and whatnot, so I figured we could do it together. But I think we are good. I'm still using my hammer mill paper to color on for pretty much everything, which I like quite a bit. And if we could not. Okay, let me put this back. We did not fully cut out, but the good news is we can pretty easily put this back because there's some pretty pronounced grooves here. The other thing we could do is just cut this out, which I don't think we. Uh-oh. What did I do? There we go. Let's get back into the groove and then do this again. And some of it too is knowing new dyes and how much tension they take, because that's always a little bit weird with the Bria. But it does have a helpful little wheel where you can change that. But you know, sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't. This looks like it definitely cut out. So I think, yeah, I'm just going to cut this with my trimmer. So I think I need to put, so like these sides cut, but these horizontal pieces didn't, which I think just means I need to run it through like at an angle so the pressure is more even. But you know, or just increase the pressure. But for the purposes of today, let's just grab our trimmer back and make sure that we cut these things out. The nice thing about this, of course, is that there we go. There we are. That, I think we did lose a little bit of the stitching, but it'll be fine. Let's try. There's that. I think that'll be, whoop, there we go. Then we'll get this one off. Oh, let me just do this with scissors quick. There we are. So here's our Newton. You see he has a little stitched detail. Then I want to run this through a couple more times just to get some extra bits and pieces. Hey Linda, how are you? Welcome. But I made a yellow cat. Actually he's a little more orange than yellow, but we will see. Let us put back our, I had taken tension off. I wonder why. Anyway, let's put our tension back on the normal setting. And luckily this paper is pretty non-directional, so we can probably just futz with it. Although, let me cut a little bit off the side and not drop die plates on me, because I don't want to, like, there's no real reason to waste that. So I think we can take at least 1.5 inches off here. Yeah, let's cut this to 4.5, and then we can save this. We might do something with this. We could even do something like that. That's a little busy, but just want to see if we can't save a little bit of paper. There's if you wanted to, you could certainly tape this. I'm just going to kind of wing it, but you know. And I don't think I remembered to twist it the way I said that I should. Oh, well. Also, like, yeah, perhaps checking my machine pressure would have been smart. But we'll see. I'm guessing this worked perfectly fine with the pressure set to just normal. We had the same thing happen. So the reason this is happening is these long sides, like if you put it through like this, right, the pressure is being like distributed across the entire long side. So that's why this was a little weird. So let's just twist this as much as we can, basically, which I didn't do initially. But I do want to kind of see if I can keep this in the same grooves and hopefully not mangle this, although I have plenty of paper if I do. So let's try this at an angle. This is sort of one of the tricks you can use if you are trying to run a faceplate like a full A2 front die through and you're having issues with it. Of course, the other option is to shim it. Which reminds me, I did get that Gemini for Christmas I haven't opened. This worked a lot better. Okay, so I should listen to the thing I suggested before. We do have a couple little bits like this. I don't think it'll matter too much in the final card, but if we see anything that looks super weird, yeah, these look fine. And you can see it's got a really nice embossed stitch detail. So we basically need 2 of each piece. There we go. And we have that. And then we have an extra centerpiece that we can save for something else. You could definitely use this with like had we die cut the cat, you could have used that, but basically we're just going to insert the cat that we have. You could save this piece. You do get a very nice you get a border. So we'll have the option to either die cut this out of brown to get a nice brown border and then use a white card, or do things a little bit differently. So we have those pieces. We basically have all of our pieces, and now I think we just need to figure out our card. I think I would like to do that thing I said where we can just get a nice frame out of the brown and then mount this on an actual white card. So I think that's what I would like to do. See if I'm missing things. Hi, Pam. Hi, ECR. Hello, Blossom. Everyone is saying hello. Hi. That is awesome. I hope you are feeling better, Pam. Did not realize you were unwell, but I hope you a good day. We're going to try this again, and I'm curious to see if this works just fine on normal pressure or if it just needs a little tweaking. Because basically, once you figure this out for a manufacturer, you usually don't have to figure it out again. And we definitely have time because when we're done, all we really have to do is assemble this. So I'm just going to run it through once and then run it through back. As you can tell, like, we're not getting like that pop you get when you have a very large edge and then the die machine just sort of gets to the edge. And it looked like this worked. Well, our die is not connected, so that's good. So I think the tension and just doing what we had talked about before is fine. Uh-oh. This one of these is a little tricky, so let me just get rid of the pieces that I know are good. Yeah. I think we just need to run this through. Perhaps again. Let me also make sure I don't have tape on the die. Hopefully we can get this to, and with some of these front panels, like I'll just run them through twice as well. I may want to, let me invert this, put this back in the die, and just tape it in, because I would prefer not to mangle this, because the only thing I really want here is the edge. So let's just tape. Let's just tape here, because that one should be safe. And I'm going to do what I said again, and we will run it through a second time. And I think we'll be okay. But this is one reason I don't always die cut on camera, because it's kind of like sometimes you feel like, oh, that definitely popped at the end. So I think I may not have rolled this through the entire way when I did my first pass. So anyway, but you really like this machine. It always seems to do a pretty good job, and I think we are good to go now. Yep, that one's out, and this one's also out. So we are good. We didn't really mangle anything. This is a fairly delicate piece, so we want to be sort of careful with it. We did mangle a couple of our side pieces. It doesn't really bother me. So we have 2 long pieces and then a central piece that I'll die cut out. So those, and we have the central piece that's out of green, so we can save all that stuff for another day. But now that I have inflicted some die cutting on you all, what we need to do is, I think I want this to be top folding, so let me just grab another piece of white quick. We can make a card base. And I think just conceptually, this is going to look really nice once we have it laid out. So you're going to have this piece, and then we will inset this, and then inset these guys. I think this is going to be a really fun look. Alternatively, you could use some other color as your card base. So we could, since we have time, let's see. Let's try purple and or yellow and see how we like those. And we will have to cut an inside mat, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal. So if we mat this out on yellow, the yellow and the green are going to be kind of complementary. So if you mat it out on yellow, I think you definitely get more, this is a yellow cat vibe than you get on white, which I like. I think yellow is better than white in this case. The purple also, I think, draws your attention here a little bit. I like the yellow better than the purple in this case, because we would cut this. There wouldn't really be. The other thing you can do if you use a colored card base, right, is like you could just let the color of the card base show through as well. So we can play around with that as a concept, right? So like if this was all, imagine this is glued down, but we could leave 2 of these purple, except I like the yellow better. This I think is too dark a purple. Let me see if I have a light purple. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I have a multitude of colors that are not light purple, but dark purple. I don't have a light purple, but I think a light purple would definitely work here if you're more of a purple person. But I think I'm going to do yellow because I like the color better. Oh, hey, Don. How are you? Oh, do you like the purple, Danny? Well, let's look at the purple again. There's a lighter purple. Well, this is Stampin' Up! Cardstock, but they have a lighter purple. But let's put the whole thing together and see how we feel. Because I think I was just seeing a lot of purple, and it would definitely bring purple more in as a color here, because it's like only on the kite currently. So if we put this back in the way that we had originally intended, and I guess we'll have to make sure that our planties are the right way around. But I can see it, Danny. Well, let's roll with it. I like that as an idea because there's the least amount of purple of all the colors in the color palette in here. So, like, I think a purple card base kind of makes sense. And obviously, we'll need to put an inside piece in it, but I never really mind doing that. But I think if you had a light purple, that would work really well here. I mean, this is a slightly dusty purple. This isn't like a straight up royal purple. Anyway, that's 5.5. 5.5 inches. We'll make our card base. I just drop snippets of white everywhere. Now, where would I be? Here we go. Here's I haven't fully unpacked from my crop, so there's still stuff that's in my toolkit that should be in my desk, but, you know, details. I think we can let's work on just getting the front assembled. So this side is a little longer, so I'm just going to flip it. You could also trim it if you're that kind of person, but I am not. There we go. Oh, thanks, Danny. Yeah, the pencils are all new. I don't think Newton's Nook makes any kind of coloring mediums. Although I will say the demo they did was Copic focused, so I think a lot of their sketches from people like Danny are often use Copics. I mean, not that that's all that wild, because I feel like a lot of people in the crafting community use Copics. Anyway, so now we have the fun business of gluing this thing down, which I would recommend using wet glue for. And that's what I'm doing. We probably don't need glue everywhere because we're going to glue down the panels as well. You don't need a lot because that's why I like these fine tip glue bottles, because you're a lot less likely to waterlog your paper by putting all sorts of glue on. But like, we're just gluing paper together. We're not gluing anything that's going to, you know, these aren't interactive cards, so we're not gluing stuff that's going to have a lot of stress on it. And what I really want to get are like these corners, because those, if they pop up, would look weird. Yeah, I think that's about as much glue as we need. If you use tweezers, this would be a really good opportunity to use tweezers. And what we really just want to do is make sure that we have our... I think that looks pretty straight. Or not. We do have... This isn't fully down, so we do have some... I think that's pretty okay. Depending on where the fold is. Well, that's on the fold side. I think I cut this a little long. And this glue will dry matte, so I'm not really worried about it at all. And I'm going to put, other pieces on top of it. So once you have the frame down, this is all pretty easy. As you can see, this is slightly lower, but these borders are all kind of the same. So I don't know. I think it will work out fine. Then the first thing I'm going to do is put the kitty in. And now this card gets really easy to put together, because you basically have a recessed area where you just need to put your various panels in. Let me see if I am missing things. Hey, Pam. Okay. Hope you have a good one, Pam. I'm not usually very responsible. But I don't know, ECR has been doing a lot of streams lately, so if you are a fan of hers, definitely check out. She has a calendar now, so you can tell when she's going live week to week. And now we kind of want to figure out what direction we want our leaves to be. And where we want to put. So how this is going to work, right? We're going to have sort of this. And then we just want to make sure. This one doesn't really have really defined leaves, but I think this, if you wind up having a leaf that sort of crosses like this leaf, you definitely want to make sure things are lined up. Or at least not upside down. They don't necessarily have to be super duper lined up. They just, and that may be hard to see on screen because it looks like my brightness is really high. Anyway, then we're just going to continue nesting these down inside the card. And I think we are doing quite well on time because we are mostly done. We just need to sort of figure out the sentiment bit. And if you do wind up with a piece like this that looks like it's cut a little narrow, I just sort of center it. That's a case too where like a white card base, you kind of notice that less, or if you use the same color card base as your whatever you would call this, or your frame piece, the brown piece we have here. If you do get something down like that one was in crooked, just make sure you move it around relatively quickly. This glue is quite forgiving until it isn't anymore. And if especially with these PVA glues, like once they grip, you will like rip up your paper a lot if you try and pull them up. Much more so than double-sided tape, which you could totally use to put this card together with as well if you prefer that. Some of this, I think, is also due to the fact that we're still trying to figure out the correct pressure on our machine when we were cutting this pattern paper. But once it's all glued together, people are not really going to notice that. Which is a nice part about card making and art and whatnot. I don't mind the base showing through on this, really. Although I think if you cut the whole thing, like now that we know the correct pressure, I think if you cut the whole thing correctly, it would be pretty neat. And I do like the idea of like balancing the kite with this soar and buy. So I would like to mat it, but I kind of feel like I want to mat it in purple since there's so much other purple, or we could do it in brown. Woo. Oh dear, craft avalanche. Brown might work nicely too. Let's do that. I think that would help unify things a bit. There we go. There we go. That is pretty good. I think that like that will work nicely. I think that will work pretty nicely. We will just glue the rest of this together. I forget if I mentioned it on the stamp set. So this, I think the intended use of the store and buy was much more. Let me grab a white scrap here so you can see what I'm talking about. So like sort and buy with, and then these are all sub sentiments you can use. So you can make a more complicated sentiment, but I just kind of like sort and buy by itself too. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back and then do that thing I mentioned. And I think our card is mostly done. We could look into some bling. I do think this is a card that, like if you have any transparent crystals, I think they would work really well. You could also obviously pick one of the colors we're working with and bring that in as well. If I have a sort of a sunshiny yellow, that would be neat. I don't. I have these really fun stickers still left over. Those are almost a dusty purple. Those are a little more pink than I would like. I'd really like to find something purple. I may or may not be successful at that, but... Oh, here we go. Well, this is convenient. These are purple. Ooh, I like those with this. I didn't even know who made these, but I like them a lot. Let's just put some purple. Let's just sort of do a little something around the sentiment. I think I'll boop it here. Well, let me just move this over. I think I kind of like it here. And these will move around until they don't anymore. So I think I'll do one over here next to Soarin' By, and then maybe one over kind of on this edge here. There we go. I think we'll do a little purple bling for our dusty purple. And I think we are pretty much good to go on this. Hey, Brian, how are you? Oh, we forgot to do an inside piece. Let's just do an inside piece quick, and then we will wrap up and head over to Shanna's channel. But I can definitely cut and adhere an inside mat to this really quick, which I had forgotten about. I don't think there's anything. Well, so next Sunday, before we meet again at 9 a.m. is Oh So Inspired Day. It's also Easter, but it is Oh So Inspired Day. So I would encourage you to cruise over to Crafty L's channel on the 20th around 9, and you can see what all the folks do and who they were inspired by this month. And perhaps I should move the pile that's currently craft avalanching, but you know, details. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to sort of balance our space here at the bottom, and then wherever our top kind of comes out, it's fine. That actually is quite nice. So I usually leave them blank. You can always, like, if you want to make it a card about a specific thing, you can always stamp it at the time of use, which I like to do. Because this one is fairly generic. What is Soarin' By? I don't know. It could be birthday. It could be Christmas. It could be whatever. Actually, let me zoom in. There we go. In the, not using the zoom in my camera, just using the zoom of mechanics. But anyway, it was great seeing you guys. I hope to see you next Sunday, if not before. Oh, you actually get a better view of that card now. But I like how the card came out. I do think we could have brought some blue in to make it more sky-like. And make this a little bit more of a scene. But I do like how it turned out. So, and I think if you use Copics, you'd get a smoother vibe. It depends if you like the colored pencil look. Anyway, thanks, Danny. I'm always like, well, you could do this 6 other ways. But I think that's all I have for you tonight. Once I end this stream, you should redirect over to Shanna's. I will join you there momentarily, and we can all look at all the cool new stuff she's playing with from Spellbinders. Danny, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you dropping all the links and answering questions about stuff that I don't know the answers to. And I will talk to you guys later. Have a great night. And Lennox is coming back. He might say hello. No, he's staying exactly off camera. Anyway, see you guys over on Shanna's channel.